Alright guys, so my class is canceled. I got myself some coffee. Now time to see if I could get into this Bernie Sanders town hall meet that is happening right at my school, but it's like about to turn 8 o'clock and I've already heard a bus arrive while I was getting coffee. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in. We'll have to see. Guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in. Holy shit. They're getting in the door now and the line is all the way across the field. Fuck. And I'm already not having a good day. I went to the wrong entrance and I spilled coffee on myself after I talked to you guys originally. Alright, let's see what happens. Some people with signs are going to be very disappointed. You cannot go in with signs. Oh my gosh, it's such a long line. I didn't think I was going to have to be here so early. I don't even know where the line starts or ends. Oh my god, it's like legit all the way across the field.
Oh yeah, 2300. Is that it? Yeah. That was standing, packed in like sardines.
Well, I'm guessing they're not going to let a whole bunch. I mean, they're going to have to stop it by fire marshal.
Whatever the maximum capacity.
For his welcome, and Senator Robert Wirch for his very kind words. So you guys ready for a political revolution? Let me start off by explaining what a political revolution means to me. What it means is an understanding that we live in a country with an extraordinary history and so much that we should all be proud of. But we are at a pivotal moment in history where, for a variety of reasons, we have a small number of people, extraordinarily wealthy people, extraordinarily powerful people, who now, to a significant degree, control our economics and control our political life. And what that means is that as a result of this disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United, we now have a corrupt campaign finance system which is undermining American democracy. And what that is about is that today, billionaires like the Koch brothers and others can spend unlimited amounts of money to elect candidates who represent the wealthy and the powerful. Now, I am the former chairman of the U.S. Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, and I've talked to veterans going all the way back from World War II. And it saddens me very much to see that those men and women who put their lives on the line to defend democracy are now looking at a situation where billionaires are able to buy elections. That is not democracy, that is oligarchy, and we have got to stop that. Democracy is not a complicated concept. It really is not. What it means is one person, one vote. You gotta vote, you gotta vote, you gotta vote, you wanna vote for me, you wanna vote against me, that's your privilege. But what democracy is not about is a handful of billionaires in this election cycle spending close to $900 million on elections. Right? And that is why together we are going to overturn Citizens United and move to But that is not the only attack on democracy that is taking place. A corrupt campaign finance system is a huge issue that we have got to deal with, but there's another issue going on. And that is all over this country, cowardly Republican governors, including the governor here in Wisconsin, are trying to suppress the vote and make it harder for people to participate. Now, I have friends who are conservatives. We have different points of view. They're honest. They have their view. I have my view. But what politics should not be about is governors using their power to make it harder for people to vote just because those people might vote against those governors or their political parties. And we're seeing that here in Wisconsin. We're seeing that all over the country. A recent Supreme Court decision which made major changes in the Voting Rights Act law has allowed them to do that. And let me just tell you very honestly, I believe very strongly in democracy. I really believe it's an extraordinary system, allows real debate on issues, empowers all of the people with all of what that means. And I have run in my own state of Vermont for office a whole lot of times. And sometimes I've lost and sometimes I've won. Most of the times, fortunately, I've won. But it has never occurred to me, not for 1 second, to say, okay, I know that that part of the state may not be voting for me. How do we make it more difficult for those people to vote? That has never occurred to me. If I can't win on my ideas, I don't want to win. Governors who are making it very deliberately, in very deliberate ways, making it harder for young people or old people or poor people to participate in the political process. I say to those cowardly governors, if you can't stand up and win in a free and open and fair election, get out of politics, get another job. Next Tuesday, there is going to be a very, very important primary election here in Wisconsin. And why don't you show the governor here that his efforts to suppress the vote have not worked. Come out and vote. I'm a little prejudiced about this. We have won 6 out of the 7 last caucuses being held. And we seem to always do well when the voter turnout is high. We don't do so well when the voter turnout is low. So I myself am prejudiced. I like to see a large voter turnout. But this campaign is not only taking on a corrupt campaign finance system and governors who are trying to suppress the vote. It is also dealing with a rigged economy. And by that I mean we have an economy today in America which allows for more income and wealth inequality than any other major country on earth, and it is worse here today than at any time since 1928. And when I speak to young people, what I want to point out to you, and I say this without any joy in my heart, that if we don't get this economy turned around, you will have the dubious distinction of being the first generation in modern American history to have a lower standard of living than your parents. Now, the American dream, as all of you know, and it was certainly the case in my family. My family never had a whole lot of money. My father came to this country at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket. He never made any money. But his dream and my mom's dream was to work hard and to see their kids do better, and that was the case. But unless we turn this economy around, you will have a lower standard of living than your parents. You will earn less than your parents. The jobs that you do will pay you less. Your housing situation will be worse. So we have got to turn that economy around, because I am determined not to see the American dream end. That we're dealing with today is not just a problem for young people. It is a problem for every worker in America. Now, here is the good news. The good news today is that our economy is much, much better than it was 7.5 years ago when George W. Bush left office. Now, my Republican friends suffer from a very serious illness, and we should be sympathetic to them. It's called amnesia. And they like to blame every problem that exists today on Barack Obama, but they just seem to forget that 7.5 years ago when Bush left office, we were hemorrhaging 800,000 jobs a month. That our deficit was $1.4 trillion, and that the world's financial system was on the verge of collapse. Other than that, we were in pretty good shape. So we have come a long way in 7.5 years. There's no debate about that. But there is also no debate that for the last 30 or 40 years, the middle class of this country has been disappearing, and more of our wealth and income is going to the top 1%. In America today, the top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, 1/10 of 1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. Guys, got that? Today in America, the 20 wealthiest people, not a lot of people, own more wealth than the bottom half of America, 150 million people. Today in America, and I want to give you an example of what a rigged economy is about, and I can give you a million examples, but here's an interesting one. Who owns Walmart? Anyone know? Walton family. Walton family is the wealthiest family in America, and Walmart is the largest private sector employer. It's a big deal. And yet, many of the employees at Walmart, because their wages are so low, are forced to go on Medicaid, food stamps, and subsidized housing. Who pays for the food stamps, Medicaid, and subsidized housing?
You do.
the middle class in this country in higher taxes. What a rigged economy is about is when working people who are struggling to keep their heads above water are subsidizing the company owned by the wealthiest family in America. So I say to the Walton family, get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. Working families should not have to subsidize the wealthiest family in America. But when we talk about the issues facing this country, and by the way, talking about these issues is not so easy. It's not something the media is particularly inclined to want to talk about for a variety of reasons. And it's us, not just the 1%. Now, when we talk about the issues facing our country, it is a corrupt campaign finance system, and the danger there is that the wealthy keep electing people who will continue to represent their interests. The second issue, further issue that we have to deal with now is not only a corrupt campaign finance system, it is not only a corrupt economy, but it is also there's also a broken criminal justice system.
Get out!
The third issue that we have to deal with is a broken criminal justice system. And what that means when we talk about a broken criminal justice system, third issue. Third issue is we have got to address, which is a very, very serious crisis, is why is it that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we have more people in jail than any other country? We have 2.2 million people in jail. We spend $80 billion a year locking them up. China has a population 4 times our size. We have more people in jail than China. Why is that? And there are a lot of reasons for it, but let me start off with one reason. Right now, and you don't see this very often on the media, but right now, youth unemployment is off the charts. If kids who are white who graduated high school between the ages of 17 and 20 right now, their real unemployment is 33%. If they are Latino, 36%. If they are African American, 51%. I want you to think about that. Think about being a young person, graduating high school, you can't get a job. What are you going to do? You're hanging out on street corners, and there is a tendency to get into trouble. So here is radical idea number 2. For those young people, we are going to invest in education and jobs, not just... Now, when we talk about criminal justice, what are we talking about? We are talking about police department reform. We are talking about ending a situation where we continue to see on television police officers kill unarmed people, often minorities. I have been a mayor for 8 years, and I have worked with police officers throughout my life. And the vast majority, overwhelming majority of police officers are honest, they are hardworking, and they have a very, very difficult job. It is not easy being a police officer. In fact, I would hope that people in this room will give thought to going into law enforcement, because that's an important area of our society. But at the end of the day, if a police officer, like any other public official, breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. Is listed as a Schedule I drug alongside of heroin. Now, people can argue the pluses and minuses of marijuana, but very few people think that marijuana is the equivalent of a killer drug like heroin. That is why I have introduced legislation to take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substances Act. When we talk about drugs, what I can tell you, that in my state of Vermont, neighboring New Hampshire, and all over this country, we have a growing epidemic of opiate and heroin addiction. This is a major crisis. We are losing people every single day who are overdosing on heroin and other drugs. To combat that epidemic, it seems to me, we should look at drug abuse, substance abuse, as a health issue, not a criminal issue. This campaign is doing well because we're doing something pretty unusual. We actually talk to people rather than just wealthy campaign contributors. That's an unusual thing. And we talk to working people. And you know what they tell me? They tell me they can't make it on $8 or $9 an hour because those wages are just too low. And what they also tell me is that we have got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. This campaign is talking to senior citizens, and they are telling me they can't make it on $11,000 or $12,000 a year Social Security. Is that right, seniors? Nobody can make it on $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security. A great nation is judged not by how many millionaires and billionaires it has, but by how it treats the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us. If you had a high school degree, you were in pretty good shape economically. Likelihood is you can go out and get a pretty good middle-class job. But everybody here knows the world has changed, the economy has changed, technology has changed. That's the way it is. You need more education than somebody did 50 years ago if you are going to make it into the middle class. So it seems to me we have got to be rethinking the concept of public education. It shouldn't just be first grade through 12th grade. It should include free tuition at public colleges and universities. $25,000 a speech. It's got to be an extraordinary, brilliant speech. It's got to be a speech that can transform this world. It's got to be a speech written in Shakespearean prose. And that is why I believe that Secretary Clinton should release the transcripts so the whole world can see that speech. Of where you get your money is extremely important because it means who you are beholden to. I am proud to be beholden to people who send me a check for $27. And I am proud not to be beholden to Wall Street or the drug companies or the fossil fuel industry. This country should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. And what Republicans mean by family values is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to marry. I disagree. Everybody here knows a very important political principle. And that throughout our history and the history of the world, change has never taken place. Real change, not superficial change. Real change has never taken place from the top on down. It has always taken place from the bottom on up. What that means is that throughout history, no matter what the issue is, millions of people look around them and they say, you know what? The status quo is not acceptable. We need change and we're going to do something about it. If you think about the trade union movement and workers, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, workers had no power at all. They could be forced to work 7 days a week. Their wages could be arbitrarily determined. They could be fired for any reason at all. And workers by the millions said, you know what? We are human beings, we're not animals. We're going to form unions. We're going to collectively negotiate. Maybe working for the top 1%, but it's not working for the bottom 99%. We have got to change that. And that is what this campaign is about. It is an understanding that I can't do it alone, really can't. Wish I could tell you, hey, just trust me, I'm going to do it all. Can't do it. Powers that be are too powerful. We need a movement. We need you to become involved in the political process in a way that we have not seen people become involved for a very long time. Next Tuesday, there will be a primary election. It is an extremely important primary election. I hope that we break Wisconsin turnout history. I hope